some of my listeners would come to me after a while and they say, okay, you write all these comedic plays and you narrate all these romance books. When are you going to try to write a romantic comedy? My name is Erin Mallon, and I am an audiobook narrator and an author. I've narrated, between me and my pseudonym, almost 800 books, and I would say about 80% of those are romance. And I published my first book in 2020. As a kid, all the way through being a teenager and early college, I was a dancer, and I thought that was going to be what I did with my life. Then something happened in high school. I was 15, and I auditioned for a play, and I was the understudy for the chairman, who was basically the narrator, I didn't even realize this, of the whole entire play. This is what it's like when you get to speak the story and tell the story. I was like, that's what I want to do. And that's when I started auditioning for plays and went to college for theater. But the funny thing was, I was not writing at all. I did not like writing. Later on, when I wrote my first play, I was like, oh, it was that same exact feeling of like, oh, this is what it feels like when you're allowed to express yourself fully. I've been writing for a very long time. A lot of people that know me as a narrator think that I started writing when I put out my first book, but I've been a playwright in the theater for 14 years, almost 15 years. When I got very deep into romance narration, I was surrounded by romance all the time. And some of my listeners would come to me after a while and they say, okay, you write all these comedic plays and you narrate all these romance books. When are you going to try to write a romantic comedy? And back then I said, I'm not. So I had to ask myself, well, why am I not trying this? It would be fun. It would be a challenge for me. And I'm getting on-the-job training constantly. I've seen what I love. I see what I might want to try differently. So I went for it. I published my first book in 2020, and it's called Flirtosaurus. I released the book July 15th, 2020, and then he was born 2 weeks later. And that felt really great to like birth a baby and birth the book in the same month. And learned a lot. And then wrote the next book, taking what I learned, and then the third and the fourth and the fifth, and we're still going. Whenever I'm writing a book, I'm never not thinking of the audio. I think it's because I narrated my first audiobook in 2010. I'd been an actor on stage for 10 years before that. I'm always coming at things from a performance mindset, I think. I like when books feel like they were always meant to be spoken, because I know the challenges as a narrator. If you're narrating something, it might be a beautiful book, but you can tell it was never meant to be told out loud. With my very first book, Flirtosaurus, I was so focused on the Audible aspect of it that I think I could have done more work with description, the way the world looks, the way the people look. I learned a lot from book 1 to 2. The ideas are never a problem. It's finding the time and the focus to go with that particular idea. It's literally, I have a document that says plays that want to be written, books that want to be written. And that's how I see ideas. They kind of land and they kind of like knock on your door and say, are you the writer that's going to write this one? But the ideas are always there. And I think they do come from everything that's happening. It's something a person will say, just a really quirky thing that you can't get out of your head. And maybe that's the first line in a play. Maybe that's like a defining moment for a character in a book. What I do try to do, I try to be very respectful. I change the gender, I change the age. You would never guess it's that person. So I try to never, ever be mean. My comedy, I always want to come from love and curiosity. I'd been narrating for so many different authors and a lot of independent authors. So I found myself really inspired by primarily women who were creating these empires for themselves. Sometimes they were traditionally published and they would indie publish. And some of them had these big publishing deals, and then they realized, I actually have my own base of readers and listeners that I've been building over time. If I go my own way, I can choose everything. I can choose my cover. I can choose my narrators. As a writer, I think we should embrace all those opportunities where we can do it ourselves. Like there's no one that's going to stop you. You don't need anyone to say yes. You say yes to yourself. I see so many people doing it and doing it well that I was like, why wouldn't I try this? I made something for myself called the High Vibe Scribe. Because I'm a narrator and a writer, and because I'm raising 3 kids, I have to schedule myself to welcome creativity in. I get up at 3:30 in the morning, and then I narrate from 4 to 7 till the kids wake up. And then I take care of them, get them off to school, and then 9 to 12 I write, and then 1 to 3 I narrate. By the time they come home, I'm ready to welcome them back. This is tricky advice, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I was first starting, I would read all of my reviews, and I think that's a mistake because you could have 20 reviews that act like you walk on water, and then you see one that does not believe that, and that's what sticks with you. I think what you should focus on is your relationship with authors, your relationships with production companies, and you can get feedback from them. Because the internet is a beautiful and often scary place. I think you need to take care of yourself, and you need to get advice from people that you trust and that are looking out for you.